Hey everybody, welcome to Project Geospatial. I'm Adam Simmons for another episode of Late Night Geo. I don't have anybody guests that want to pop on tonight. However, if you are somebody who sees this running on on Twitter, feel free to PM us, and I'll send you an invite link. You can just discuss anything. So Late Night Geo is I brought on a few people in the past for this. This is kind of an ad hoc thing where I'll talk about anything geospatial for topics, trends, news, etc. Or if I bring a guest on, we'll just kind of see where the conversation goes. But I don't know about everybody else. I feel like there's been a lot of stuff happening, not just in the last few weeks, but coming up in October too. It feels like conference season virtually that usually happens in the front end of the year just got slammed this part of the year, and I don't know about you, but I feel a little overwhelmed with all the activity going on, virtual or not. That it gets crazy anytime conferences and virtual trade shows go on all at once, COVID or not. So let's talk about some of the stuff that is on my mind. I just got done reviewing a lot of the AFWERX Engage Space stuff the last 2 days. Congratulations to all the participants and the companies who got selected to showcase their stuff, but also the companies who have a chance to move on in AFWERX. That should be interesting to see. For those of you who don't know, there are quite a few companies that are moving on to the next round. So just kind of give you an idea. Let's see if I can, of course, right when I do have a hard time bringing it up. So 26 of the 800 teams that submitted a solution to one of the 4 space challenges are now invited to explore multiple potential pathways for forward, right? So that's coming directly from the AFWERX Twitter account, and you can check them out at AFWERX, AFWERX on Twitter. So kind of give you an example of a couple of, I'm just going to maybe name the top 4 out of every class here. So DoD commercial space partnerships, the top 4 for that one is Hawkeye 360, which if you don't know does RF, space-based RF collection. And that branches out to a lot of different use cases. EarthCast, with traditionally is an Earth observation company. I think originally, if I got it right, they put a camera on the International Space Station once upon a time, but I think they've broadened their horizon since then. Orbit Logic, which has a lot of cool technology, and we had the pleasure of interviewing both the founders, Ella and Alex Hertz, on the show. Check out that interview. Great husband and wife team, and they do some incredible stuff. And if you haven't checked it out yet, their SpyMeSat app on mobile is a pretty cool tool for somebody who wants to grab satellite imagery at home. And Ursa Space Systems. So those are the top 4 from the DoD commercial space partnerships. And I'm not sure if this is in any order. This is just happened to be the top 4 listed on the selected solutions graphic that are out there. So global space transport and delivery, there are only 4 selections. So Space Information Laboratories, the Launch Company, LLC, Astra Space, and Rocket Lab USA. And I'm familiar with 2 of those companies. I know Rocket Lab's big into we'll call it ride sharing and such. So next is the category of persistent ISR, which first one on the list, Umbra Lab. So another company that's popped on our show a couple times in a number of the panels. Congratulations to them. Umbra works on SAR radar-based, or they're working on their SAR constellation. So, and by the way, cool little plug. We just did a SAR 101 with Ursa's Daniela Moody. I know I'm kind of crossing companies here, but I encourage you, if you don't know much about the sensor and the potential, go check out the SAR 101 session we did with them. We did with her. It's an incredible session, very useful, and I know we plan on doing another one in another couple weeks, diving into even more detail about the technology in general from an educational approach. So next company on the persistent ISR list is Cognovi Labs. Cognovi. I don't no idea how to pronounce this. Cognovi Labs. So I'm sure it's a play off of cognitive. Next is Oracle National Security Group, and that's a pretty broad company, so I have to dive into some of the products and services that they were presenting as a solution. I think they had a couple. NanoFlow X, and that was number 4, so at least on this list. Next category is space asset resiliency. So it comes down to security, crypto technology from transmitting and communications between the satellites themselves, so lots of different things there going on. So RunSafeSecurity.inc, iCrypto.inc, AST Corp, and NXM Labs Inc. I am interested in diving into some of these companies, learn more about them. Some of them sound very fascinating. So with that, once again, congratulations to those that are selected. And there were many more companies I did not mention because I do not want to go through all 26 names here. I should, but I just do not feel like it tonight. There's a lot of news. So with that said, there are a few other things I want to mention. If you're not aware, by the way, from a geospatial approach, kind of completely shifting gears. So I was just reading the other day, by the way, this was 3 days ago, a Space News put out an article called Secretive Chinese Launch Sends 2 Remote Sensing Satellites into Orbit. I found that fascinating for a number of reasons. One, what are the Chinese doing? You obviously hear about a lot of the remote sensing activity that is going on over there, but apparently they're getting pretty big into the arena and launching their own remote sensing satellites from a large constellations. We're talking, I'm sure, not quite up to planet numbers yet, but it looks like it's heading that direction. And if I can find that article, let's see here. There it is. Have it up. So according to the article, it's a medium resolution environment, HJ2A and HJ2B. Monitoring satellites are equipped with 16-meter multispectral, 48-meter hyperspectral and infrared imagers. So 48-meter is pretty low resolution, but also carries atmospheric correction instruments. So they're more broad area, it seems like. I want to say, just by kind of hearing that description. But they've also launched quite a few satellites up in orbit by now. And let's see. I was just reading that. I want to get the number right. I was saying 29 launches so far in 2020. Suffering 4 failures. So not so bad, but you can kind of get the picture as they're trying to flood, get that cadence going with their own Earth observation satellites. So to me, it seems like they're going, and potentially another year or two, the Chinese could have their own version of a planet, probably low resolution at first, but rapidly innovate towards something that has much higher resolution capabilities, probably in the next five years or so, maybe even sooner than that. So what else is on the list? So what I actually discovered, once again, a completely other shift in topics here, is Google Maps recently released an update. So a big update, right? The look and feel. This happened a few weeks ago. But what they added in the last few days, at least I got the update in the last few days, was if you go to the layers on your mobile, they actually added a COVID-19 layer. So you can actually kind of see, if you zoom out of the general area from a state level and clicked on that layers and clicked on COVID-19, what will happen is you can see the general increase and decrease of COVID cases from state to state. In some cases, country as well, depending on where they have data. And this data is coming from a lot of different areas. Let's see. Here we go. Wikipedia, the New York Times, JHU, CSSE, COVID-19 data. So, and Mumbai Municipal Corporation. I'm assuming that's an India company. And the second to last one I just named looks like it's a GitHub repository from Johns Hopkins University. So interesting. Either way, I understand the demand, people wanting to know more, and having some type of source where it's consistent across the board instead of going through a million portals to just define what's going on. It's a start, and I know the demand has gone out to Apple and Google from a map approach, and even Virginia endorsed this one where I actually had I installed the app that was that Google and I think Apple both partnered up, and that was called COVID Wise. It's another geospatial app that actually uses proximity in combination with Bluetooth devices to figure out if you've been exposed or not. I think the big weakness here is I think it relies on a lot of self-reporting to kind of figure out if you were exposed. But regardless, it would be interesting to see if they're going to tie that app closer to Google Maps integration with the COVID data as they go along to do something on a micro level, because you really have to zoom out to the state and country level to see any results with that specific layer. So let's see what else here. Once again, if you want to join me on the show, just have a general topic or discussion and just talk about anything. If it's just by myself, I'll plan on staying online for another 20 minutes. If someone hops on, we can go as long as the conversation goes. So hit me up on Twitter at Project Geo Media, and I'll send you an invite link to the show. So with that said, I think there's a few other things I want to talk about. I mentioned a lot of conferences and things coming up, and I've been flooded with, hey, join this coming up, check out this. And so I want to kind of go over some of those that's in the works. So one of them I just got tipped off to is Spacecom 2020. And I'll admit, I've been wanting to go to one of the bigger space conferences in person in the past. And of course, virtually makes sense too. And being that these space collectors are a bigger play these years than they have 10 years ago, you maybe only had a handful of collectors 10 years ago compared to nowadays, it makes sense to go to Spacecom because a lot of them are present, maybe even the emerging ones from an engineering perspective are trying to get their word out between government contracts or make their case commercially, even from a launch provider standpoint. So I've been wanting to, I hear those are good conferences to go to from a different perspective, and I've been wanting to showcase it. Anyway, Spacecom 2020 is going to happen October 19th through 29th. So I encourage everybody to look that out. A lot of the same government organizations between NASA, NOAA, DOE, Office of Space Commerce, etc. They're all stakeholders in this one. So it's worth checking out, especially some of the agencies like you don't see the Department of Energy or Space Commerce attend some of the geospatial conferences a lot. But once again, they're stakeholders. Interesting to hear their perspective on their needs. And I like translating their needs into the commercial equivalents. If the energy company looks at this, what energy companies or energy related industry stuff care about the same things, and can you translate those use cases? So to me, that's a very interesting discussion or observation I like making across industries. So let's see, another one that I got tipped off to is I just got it in my email recently. What happened to it? Sorry, everybody, I'm a little bit slow on the gun tonight, but that's what late night geo is. Just kind of sit and chatting as I'm going through some of the news items, reviewing a few things. The TechStars Starburst Space Accelerator, that was kind of a subset. They had their own booth in AFWorks, by the way, and it felt like they almost hijacked some of the AFWorks conference to host their own accelerator, space accelerator / pitch day per se across a bunch of companies showcasing their companies. At least that's how it felt. So I actually kind of jumped in there for a few hours to check out some of the action going on. And it felt like a completely separate event as opposed to the AFWorks stuff. I got to hear a lot about the space launch companies in that. But TechStars, Starburst Space Accelerator, they have a demo day in 2020 coming up. And that is, let me see here. Pitch is available September 10th. So this one already happened. So I guess they're advertising the companies that already pitched, and you can watch them after the fact. And that's at demo day at techstars.com. So I got that one a little late, but still an interesting little tidbit there. If you're wondering, I'm kind of reading up on a lot of the messages and connections I got from from the AFWorks network that I got tipped off to, but all worth kind of pointing out. So let's see, where's another big one that I got tipped off to? Once again, I feel overwhelmed. I have to kind of go back through my list, which conferences that I can attend, which ones are worth it. I know there's a lot of stuff going on in St. Louis the next few weeks. That's worth checking out, at least virtual conferences. So I wouldn't feel you don't have to visit them on site. So USGF, so GeoConnect Series, good series. The St. Louis Geospatial Entrepreneurs Ecosystem. So that's Wednesday, October 7th, 1 to 2 p.m. So that's a short little session. And looks like it's kind of a panel setup between 5 people with moderator Emily Louise Bush. I am horrible with names sometimes. I apologize. Executive Director of Arch Grants. So that's a big deal there. And she's talking with various academic individuals as well as entrepreneurs and CEOs to just talk about the St. Louis entrepreneur space for the geospatial community. Of course, that's also sponsored by Alliance STL, which is a big player in creating awareness around the growth of St. Louis in general. So check that out. I like going to the St. Louis events because it offers, I feel like they're always energetic out there. They always have, it's always not just fascinating to go to in person, but I love hearing the drive they have and the new technologies for the startups that are going on and the passion they have just for getting people out to the city and see what they are doing. Not just to enhance the geospatial community or technology, but enhance their community around them. So I think that's a real fascinating story to watch them. So let's see, what else do we got here? I know that, let's see, I thought I saw a recent ad for another one coming up. Once again, there's simultaneous stuff going on. I actually missed the Geo Integration Summit that happened back at 2 days ago, actually, because I was getting ready for the AFWorks conference. So there was a few activities going on there, but it would be interesting to go back and watch some of those sessions too to see if anything interesting happened. But there's a lot of frequent players, a lot of frequent things going on across the industry that we'll call it repeat, not repeat offenders, but repeat companies that have technologies. And I think these, you kind of see that. So I actually named some of those companies out of the top 4 of each of those categories from the AFWorks section. So I'm going to name them off. Some of them I've had in the show, some of them not. So Hawkeye 360, Earthcast, Orbit Logic, Ursa, Umbra. Those are all hot companies right now, getting a lot of attention for their potential, not just their potential constellations, but their current technology that they're currently working with, whether it be SAR technology or remote sensing in general. So just to watch their incredible growth. And I know companies like Planet and Maxar are not slowing down either. They're a little bit quiet compared to the others, but I think they have a lot of things in the oven right now that we're going to be surprised on over the next few months. And when they release that information, I will be happy to talk about it. We also have some big news for Spacenet coming up too, or at least that happened in the last week or two. The cool thing about Spacenet is they just released September 23rd, so about a week ago, the expanded Spacenet 6 dataset containing 202 untiled Capella Space SAR image strips and Maxar Worldview 2 scenes. So the SAR data is the first openly licensed quad polarized imagery at 0.25 spatial resolution that spans a huge area. So that's a huge look, 0.25 meter. If you want to see good satellite imagery, check out one of those images. And if you want to, and it's really cool that they're putting that in parallel with Capella's SAR imagery, because you really need a comparison there, like how good to identify what's on the radar images and figure out the potential of that sensor, even from an educational awareness standpoint, of what a SAR sensor can see compared to an EO sensor, and what just kind of gets just lit up. Worth checking out. But the fact that this is openly available, you can go check it out at Spacenet. So I know Jake Schirmauer, who's come on the show before. We've interviewed him about Spacenet and Cosmic Works. So they post all kinds of blog posts on Medium all the time from Spacenet, and they talk about releasing this data set and what it means to the community. So, and I know that the Spacenet 7 challenge is coming up too. So they talked about that on another podcast, and I need to listen to that one as well. I need to play catch up with that. So that's Cosmic Works, Planet Labs, and AWS Cloud discussing the challenge focused on developing novel computer vision methods for non-video time series data. So I think focusing more on FMV, perhaps. Complete opposite, non-video time series data. So it could be is more or less like probably Planet, probably their rapid collection. So multi-day revisit stuff, or how do you, if you have like 100 images over the course of a few weeks, how do you make sense of all that data very rapidly? And how do you do it at scale, which is probably where AWS comes in. So I am interested in diving down that. I enjoyed the Spacenet 6 challenge, and the Spacenet 7 challenge has the potential to do even more from a separate topic standpoint. So let's see. And they're talking about it on September 5th too on their Twitter. So challenge centers on the unique time series data set with monthly collects over approximately a 2-year period. So 24 collects, right? But they say for more than 100 locations spanning the globe. That's a lot of locations. Learn how to deploy challenge baseline on AWS in the latest blog. So once again, that's Daniel Hogan talking about that, working alongside Jake Schirmauer for this next Spacenet 7 challenge. And that's at Spacenet_AI if you want to know anything about them on Twitter. So let's see. Do I have anything else for tonight? I'm going to be on for 10 more minutes. Another announcement to the crowd. If you'd like to join me to have a general discussion out there about anything geospatial going on, what's on your mind? Did you attend one of these conferences recently? You want to talk about it? Please hit me up. I want to hear from you live. If not, I'll once again, I know I haven't done one of these in probably a month or two, but I want to keep this frequent, at least once a week for a late night geo session. And if I can be more consistent, hopefully I can get more folks interested in just popping on the show real quick. So let's see. I had all these news items prepared a few days ago, and now it's total chaos as I'm trying to figure out what I did with all those articles. So. By the way, while I'm trying to look at this stuff up, I'll let everybody know it is International Podcast Day. So I didn't know that was the thing, but one reason I'm happy to come on the line tonight, because I want to, hey, you know what? We're a podcast. People listen to us. I might as well showcase what that is. And I love messing with new video techniques, and I guess you call it a hobby with podcasting, but I love cinematography. So trying to get into that. And if you see right before the show, I actually threw out one of our 17-second or 18-second video intros, and I changed out our normal kind of podcasty slow intro and added some epic music. So I got some plans for that. I want to turn that into maybe a 5-minute aggregation of a bunch of different inspirational or interesting, we'll call it thought-provoking clips, quotes from various segments from episodes that we've done over the years. So I think we got over 200 episodes and a few thousand hours of footage I have to go through to find the gold mines. But I look forward to that project, and hopefully I can make a cool video in the next few weeks to showcase everybody. So I don't want to make it any longer than a few minutes. But my goal with that too is to get some practice down, because what I like to do with Project Geospatial at one point down the line is dive into the history of geospatial, bring on some interesting individuals to talk about the history of so not just the technology we see today, but how it got to today. What policies and standards brought the industry to today, brought the community today. Maybe even the how did technology such as QGIS come around, or who created Landsat? We know all these things, but to interview the people involved, the teams involved that created these technologies, not just decades ago, but even in the last 10 years, there's been this revolution of geospatial technology, and there's stories to be told. A lot of people did a lot of work behind these things to get where it is today, and they don't only just deserve the credit, but they deserve to tell the story on how hard it was, or why they made the decisions they do to take it the direction they did. And I want to capture those stories. So if you got one of those, I'd be happy to have you on as well, just to kind of hear your perspective of how the community, how the industry evolved in your mind. Maybe you're an analyst, maybe you're somebody on the line who works some of these technologies in person. Could be a land surveyor, and or somebody who maybe works GPS satellites. Who knows? So let's see, what else do we have on the docket here? I feel like I'm keep on going longer than I say I'm going to, but I'm hoping somebody might pop on. We'll see. All right, what do we got here? Of course, everybody sees in my glasses, I'm scrolling through things. I am actually trying to find my hot list of links that I had ready, but I am lost in menus. That's what I feel like I am. I did forget to announce, because I did see this press release that Kleos Space is shipping 4 satellites to India for 11 February 20. Oh, wait, that's a late press release. Yeah, why are you posting that 1 hour ago? Okay, maybe they got the date wrong. I know Kleos did have an announcement on their satellites. That was not the one, but I did see someone on LinkedIn just post something from a February launch, and I'm like, what? Okay. Let me see if I can find this one. Oh, there we go. 16 September 2020. Here's an intro. All source analysis in Kleos Space form a geospatial intelligence partnership. That's actually really interesting for a lot of different reasons. For one, if you're not familiar with all source analysis, we'll call them I hate to call them an open source company. Think of it as a commercial imagery report, or a commercial imagery analysis company. They actually make imagery reports traditionally how defense analysts, and they actually focus on a lot of defense sites, and they focus on other things too, but they focus on a lot of defense sites or global event activity from an imagery perspective. And imagery analysts will know what I'm talking about with this. But all source analysis does this publicly, even as in some ways an imagery analysis media company in some ways. I like to consider them. But the fact that they partner with Kleos Space, we'll call it the Luxembourg or foreign equivalent. Let's say to say they're equivalent of Hawkeye 360 is kind of wrong, because they work in different spectrums and slightly different RF technology. But Kleos does work with RF collection, and the fact that all source analysis can actually use Kleos's RF collection in their analysis and their reporting is a big deal, because it's not just an analyst looking at an image and interpreting what's going on from an activity standpoint and trends, etc. They can actually get and see RF collection within those images and make a more, we'll call it refined report of what's actually going on, where activity actually is. and add more context to the report overall, and even maybe connect the dots between certain types of RX activity across multiple locations. And I'm trying to think of a good example of that. But you could have two locations talking to each other in an event and not even realize it if you're just looking at an image of one site. So let's see. Imagine, for example, a train going down a railway, and perhaps he's 50 miles away from the station he's going to be arriving at. But you take an image of the train, you're identifying how many cars that has, perhaps from a supply chain analysis, what types of cargo it has, what kind of hoppers, coal and steel, etc., or some other type of livestock cars on board. So you can do some analysis that way. But where's it going? Maybe the track splits 3 or 4 different ways. But if it's detected, perhaps that maybe from a communication standpoint or some other form that train is talking to the station, exactly where it's going, and maybe you can do an imagery analysis of that station ahead of time and see what kind of supply that station has on hold, or what kind of other trains are in the station already that might interrupt the supply chain, stuff like that. I'm kind of just throwing stuff out there. But there's a bunch of use cases that Allsource can use, and I'm excited to see what kind of reports get produced out of this type of relationship. So check out that. Check out Allsource. Keep an eye on them and see what comes out of Cleos. So I am going to wrap up tonight's broadcast because I can't seem to get anybody online tonight. That's fine. So if you are interested in joining me for a late night geo discussion, once again, talk about anything geospatial, conferences, technology. If you want to know, give me insights of what projects you are working on, perhaps the companies, or for academic projects, etc., or your general interest, and we can talk about various questions. The geospatial industry is so broad, I feel like I'm all over the place sometimes with this stuff. So if you want to just present some topics, we'll start a discussion going there and talk about the latest trends, policies, and news that are going on from your perspective, from your opinion too. So with that, I'm Adam Simmons with Project Geospatial on Late Night Geo. We'll talk to you next time.